fight with just that pistol he has, so you want to back off and find a different route there. So what we're going to see here is one of our early weapons. It's a laser cutter. You can use it to cut through certain types of metal surfaces. So in this case, it's just another way to progress, and you can find different routes throughout the levels by using that to open up new routes. But it's also something you can use tactically in combat by, for example, hiding behind a cover and cutting a hole through your own cover and basically shoot through your own cover while you're still in hiding.
So this isn't a tool that's I've reached the choke point. I have to use this tool to progress. There's moments like that, but there's also moments that you can find shortcuts. You can use it tactically, and so I think that makes it a lot more interesting as a weapon in your arsenal. Does that sort of philosophy of different uses and effectiveness for the different guns, is that something you guys carry out throughout the game?
So our game is an action adventure, so we have the intense immersive action bit, but the adventure aspect of it includes a lot of puzzling. I'm blowing into this mic. It includes a lot of puzzles where sometimes you get to use the laser cutting ability. So yeah, the laser cutter is something you're going to find upgrades to. You're going to find a new, more powerful laser cutter, which you will be able to find upgrades to throughout the game. And you can take all these upgrades and you can enter it into the laser weapon, and it will change how it works. It will make it more powerful, but also more versatile. So you can use it tactically in different situations, depending on how you want to. One of the goals of our game is to give the player a lot of tools for them to be creative in the combat scenarios, to basically allow them to solve the gameplay problems they encounter in different ways.
And you're going to give them, as many tools as you encounter, that's how many you can hold. This is not a, which gun do I choose, which one do I leave on the ground? BJ can carry all the guns, and he can dual wield most of them, right?
He has very large pockets, I guess. Yeah, so you can dual wield most weapons. My favorite is probably the dual wield of shotguns, which is just crazy carnage whenever you get them.
It's ridiculous. Are we going to see a little bit of that a little later on in the demo?
I hope so. I think so
too. Now this, going head to head with another one of the mech enemies. This one a bipedal one, armed with some weapons on his arms, but BJ's actually trying to take the fight to him, not just avoid it. You will be going head to head with these big mechs.
Absolutely, and this one is actually a bit easier than most because it's damaged by the big explosion you had when you entered the building. So it's immobile, but right after this you'll see another one. They're very, very difficult to take down, and that's one of the things we like about the game. We want it to be a real challenge for people. This is not an easy game. Of course, we have the 5 difficulty levels of the original Wolfenstein 3D, like everything from Daddy Can I Play to I Am Death Incarnate. So you can tone it down or tone it up if you want to, but like the default normal setting of the game, it's going to be a challenging experience.
It's quite challenging, and I remember a few weeks ago, some folks came down, you guys were showing it off, and I talked to people who had played the demo then, and they said, like, yeah, it's really cool. It's really hard. Some small percentage of people were actually able to beat it. I think it's that difficulty that I think is something you guys have worked a lot on calibrating, and it helps make it engaging, helps make it something, it's demanding, and so you have to step up your game.
It's difficult, but it's always fair. You're never really cheated. It's always your fault if you die. So it's a fair but very difficult game.
You got reckless. Yeah. Now, we're in sort of a more open combat arena here. It's an entrance hallway in a museum. I have played this demo before, folks. That's why I'm not just making this stuff up. That's where I get my info from. But we've seen throughout this BJ taking cover. It's not a snap into cover kind of situation. It's taking cover and moving fairly quickly is a key part of staying alive.
You need to move, you need to be agile, and this is not a cover shooter. You have cover functionality, because, when I played Wolfenstein 3D as a kid, I remember wanting to be able to take cover properly behind walls, but you just had to kind of strafe back and forth.
Yep.
So we have added the ability to use covers properly, sneak behind covers, sneak out of covers, So
you
we
have,
use
you have
that.
like a lean as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We have
Yeah.
the lean in and out of cover, and
Yeah.
you can actually lean below things as well and shoot under tables and stuff like that.
Nice.
We use it also on, like, we have the laser turret there, which you can mount, and when you do that, you can actually take cover beneath and under it as well, so you can actually be protected while using it.
Yeah, you don't have to just stand very upright at the turret. You can duck. You can
Yeah.
move your head around.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
It's very important for us as a studio to create a very physical sense of being in the world, and that's part of it, you know, actually being able to move around the way you think you should be able to move around in the 3D space.
Speaking of the physicality of the world, we're seeing some of this destructibility here. We mentioned earlier, you know, cutting a hole in cover to shoot through. To what extent is destructibility a factor and a tactical asset in Wolfenstein: The New Order?
And we love that aspect of the game, and we try to put it in as much as possible where it makes sense. I think the first reason we want to do it is because it feels awesome. So this room is just going to be completely destroyed by the end of this combat encounter. But it's also a tactical thing. You can use it to take out the covers of your enemies, and they also will be able to take out the covers you're behind. So you need to be mobile, you need to move, you need to pick up health packs and stuff, and just continue moving.
Health packs. Let's talk about it real quick. Is there regenerating health in Wolfenstein?
Okay, so this is a longer story. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to combine the best of old school game mechanics for shooters with modern day school shooters. So there were certain things that were left behind, certain design principles that were left behind earlier that probably shouldn't have been left behind. So we bring those back and we marry them to you know, current gen design sensibilities. So our health system is a good example of that. We have the old school 100 health, 100 shield, and that means that every fight will matter. You know, you always need to take care of your health. It's a resource you need to watch. So you can never just screw up a fight and just barely survive and just continue doing that throughout the game. Each fight matters, even the small ones. So we've taken a little bit of health regen and added on top of that. So, example, if you after a fight just have 5% health, it's going to regen to the next 20. So you always have at least 20 when you move on from the fight. So you're never completely screwed over. You always have a fighting chance.
You know, one stray bullet to the knee is not going to destroy you, but you also to the point where you need to move. You need to be cautious because you have that urgency of low health.
Yeah, and the enemies will flush you out. They will use grenades. They will flank you. They will find a way to take you out if you're staying behind the cover for too long, if you're hiding in a room. So you need to move, you need to be agile and just keep pushing it.
All right, a few quick questions here before we move on. Off Twitter, question for Wolfenstein New Order. If you hadn't played the other ones, will you be able to enjoy the game and story?
Of course, yeah. This is so we do build on the earlier games, and we see it as a tribute to the original Wolfenstein 3D. But this is very much its own story.
Very much its own story. Will we get a chance to use mechs? Or some similar heavy Nazi?
I guess I can say that now. Yeah, you'll be in some kind of war machine in the game. Yeah,
excellent. You'll
fighting.
Keep scaling up and keep getting more and more powerful.
It gets crazier and crazier throughout the game.
Can you collapse objects onto enemies with the laser cutter?
Not currently, no.
It's a little short range, the laser cutter. But what I will say is I saw in the next section of that demo, there's elevated walkways with glass floors.
Yeah.
And if you just shoot the glass out the bottom, Nazis fall to their death.
Yeah, we just try to implement as many fun ways to kill Nazis as possible.
All right. Question: how hard is the hardest difficulty? The I am death incarnate.
You will cry blood.
You will cry blood. That's hard. All right, Andreas, the questions are fast coming, but we're going to get one more in. Just curious about the research you guys did into actual Nazi history to sort of flesh out this alternate universe.
Well, in a way, it is its own literary genre. You have books like The Man in the High Castle by Phil K. Dick, which was an inspiration, I think. But we really tried to define our own universe and our own idea of what the world would look like based on what Wolfenstein is and always was.
Very cool, Andreas. Wolfenstein: The New Order is looking very good and very difficult, very action-oriented in a shooter. I like those things. When are folks going to get to play it, and on what platforms?
Holidays this year, it'll be on PC, Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and PS3 and PS4.
Excellent. Andreas, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And talking Wolfenstein. Now we're